Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day for one stock in particular, and that was Tesla. The indexes are more of a snooze fest, but Tesla, of course, comes out with more news, which we're going to go over. And we'll go over the chart because it's a pretty amazing thing. Whether you're a Tesla fan or not a Tesla fan, you got to respect what it's done over the last 5 trading days, which is absolutely crazy. And of course, shorts aren't happy because they've lost roughly $5 billion or something like that, on paper at least, if they hadn't sold yet. So definitely been a killer on that. And then we'll go into a couple of things that are really important. We'll talk about Tesla, Apple in particular for a certain reason, something that probably won't help the U.S. market if it continues to happen, but we'll find out about that. And then a few stocks that are sitting on the precipice, right? They're either going to completely fall off the cliff or they're going to bounce from here. Okay, so I'll let you know what those are. Now, you might have noticed something important here. Japan seems to be intervening in the currency market, right, against the U.S. dollar. You see this drop right here was overnight right there. When you see that, because the yen has just been absolutely just nuked, right? It's been a mess while the dollar has been strong as can be. And so it seems they're intervening right here. Normally they do that, you get a dip in the dollar. Sometimes, and of course that's going to affect gold and oil and a lot of other things, but you can see there's the US dollar all of 2024 and 2023. I mean, it's just been roaring, right? Especially 2024 has been on a move. And so when they intervene, we'll see how much they're going to intervene. They're very quiet about it, they're not saying anything, but this can affect a lot of things, right? When you get a strong dollar, also it affects those companies that are reporting earnings that have a lot of revenue from overseas, like Apple, over half their revenue. They have to convert all those dollars back into U.S. dollars, so that's going to be interesting to see. But again, the dollar came back down into what has been a support area and bounced. And I mean, does it look like it wants to go higher? Pretty much what it looks like it wants to do. But again, we'll see if that's going to continue up or not. And if it does, like I said, watch gold, watch oil, watch these companies are going to report earnings here pretty soon. Now, when you look at Tesla, I mean, look at this right here. This is crazy, right? So they hit this trend line, okay? And I mean, the move up has been unbelievable. At the White Pop today on the news out of China, they partner with, my understanding is, I think it's Baidu. And of course, that gives them the license to be able to go ahead and sell that in China. And there's a lot of people that own EVs and Teslas in China. So that's a boatload of money they can make, right? So makes sense, right? That's money to the bottom line, hopefully sooner rather than later for them, right? And we'll count these out, but that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's only 5 trading days, all right? That's it. So one whole week right there. And you see what basically was a robot day was a 100 moving average. I mean, it went up 15% for crying out loud. Hit the 100, finally started to sell back down right there. Also had some other news come out, which we'll talk about. And again, this ain't really something the company can do anything about. But again, when you look at this move from that trend line up since earnings, this is a crazy move of 43%. I mean, that is, remember, this is a large cap stock. This ain't some penny stock here, okay? To make that big a move is absolutely incredible. Now, this has to be digested at some point in time. So, when I talked about, when I put this in here for you, and I said, well, probably going to come up here and test this line, then come back down. Well, obviously, it moved up a whole lot quicker than I think anybody thought we would at this point in time. So you're not too far off. So whenever it hits that line, whether it's at 228, whether you come down, probably 210, 215. All right. So something else that came out, by the way, was the registrations. This came out around probably about 130. Obviously fell again, 7.8% in California. They've been having problems in America when it comes to demand and sales and things like that. So you can see it. I mean, this ain't new in California. Their vehicle registrations have been declining. And so, I mean, don't forget that this move is not based off the fact that they didn't fix the demand issue, right? And it's not just a Tesla problem. They can cut prices all they want, right? It has nothing to do with their product. It's the fact that Ford, I showed you, 84% drop in EV sales. BYD came out today and said their profits are dropping. Demand is down because competition is so fierce, right? You got, what is it, Fisker? They're trying to get bought out because they're about to go bankrupt. You got these other companies, they're losing like 80 to 90,000 per vehicle they sell. You don't need a business degree to understand that is not a long-term recipe for success, right? They won't be in business long losing $80,000 per vehicle. You have other companies that are cutting back, right, on how much money they put into their EV division and things like that. That's just the way it is. That's what's happening right now. Maybe it's a short period of time it happens. Maybe it continues to go on. We'll have to find out. And remember, this whole move up, this isn't based on they're going to sell more cars and margins are going to expand greater and all this crazy mess. This was based on a robot, cyber taxis, self-autonomy driving. And so when Tesla was at 140-ish, right, it was a car company. Now the market, the reason why the market like hearing that is they go, we can value them as a tech company, which is why Elon spent so much time talking about tech, right? Not the demand problem and all this other stuff and the margins, that part of it. Okay, so now they can value them as a tech company. That leads us to Apple, who's reporting this week. Remember, second rated, their second highest percentage weighted in the S&P and NASDAQ and stuff. And so the question is Tim Cook going to sit here and actually follow Elon's lead on this? And what do I mean by it? First, let's look at the chart. You can see it was up today. Even when a lot of stuff was red, what has this thing been doing? It's doing the almost like deja vu, right? Went the last earnings with bullish divergence on the RSI and the chart, and you can see the same thing's been happening, right? It was up like almost 4% today, which is a big move for Apple, by the way. This isn't, your Googles and your Metas and things like that. And, when you look at it, it's got this gap now right here, but it was moving up. I couldn't find any news, by the way, why it should really be moving up like that today, but it just was, and it's going to report on Thursday if I'm not mistaken. But again, last time this happened, earnings, 20% move, right? And so you could have a very good move, which would put it over 200 again, by the way. It would put it at an all-time new high, if that was the run it went on after earnings, of course, and that's going to report on Thursday. So again, when we pull up the stochastic RSI on this thing, you can see the momentum's trying to shift up, right, and make this move, okay? And so usually when you get that move, it is a nice big move for Apple, okay? This is one of those ones that consolidate sideways a long time, all that good stuff. But on the weekly RSI, the stochastic RSI that is, you can get really, really good moves in Apple. And you can see it has gapped up to get above the 50. It held the 50 moving average. Again, you got the 100, the 200, this area, which is now going to be resistance above it right there when it reports earnings. So it could do exactly what Amazon did a little while back, or even Google, and just gap above all of this. Okay, because they're expecting around between a 4 and 5% move currently on earnings for Apple. And the big question is going to be, again, is Tim Cook going to follow Elon's lead on this? And the truth is, I don't really understand what he can come out with, because they're already valued as a tech company, right? But what's he going to come out with? They own 41 AI companies now. Is he going to try to do what Meta said don't do, which is don't just come out and say, we're putting AI features in our iPads and our iPhones and those stupid goggles we tried to overprice you for? Meta's already told us people are pushing back on the same product just having AI features and you charging a boatload more money for it, right? And so really what the market wants to hear is they invented a dog that's based on artificial intelligence. It's a robot dog, and it's going to keep you company. The market would love it, right? Don't matter. And here's the thing. Don't matter if any of it's true. As long as you say, yeah, as long as, it has to be somewhat true. But if you're putting research behind it, but some AI type products that are just going to revolutionize things, that's what the market wants to hear probably, right? Not, hey, we're putting AI features in our usual products. Because you can't really, that's not going to really shift the meter, right, on your growth or your revenue. What's new? Remember when they scrapped the Apple car and the market was kind of like, what, you scrapped the Apple car? And it was like, really? You really thought they were going to invent a car? Is that easy just to make a car? And so, or maybe they put the Apple car back on there. We're going to make a car now. And the market goes, yay, woohoo. But some big ticket items that you're going to make a lot of money on. So, let me know in the bottom, what do you think Apple could say, right? Where this going to really just rocket them up and pull a Tesla. That's really the key here, because so far they've been holding up really, really well. And again, all the bad news at this point in time, unless he comes out and really says something crazy, is pretty much baked in. It's all they've gotten, the bad news, and they've sold off for over 3 months, actually 4 months, excuse me, now. And so, every stock gets their turn to move back up. Now, key today we talked about was over the weekend, what? The 50 moving average. What happened? We came up this morning, top of this channel, 50 moving average right at there, and guess what happened? Got rejected. That's not the end of the world. All we did was just start trading sideways kind of the rest of the day, taking some liquidity grabs here and there. But when we look out, the 50 is important. So that's what we were looking at, right? And you look at this, and last time we sold off, again, rejected off the 50, made it above it. Ooh, we're going to do it. Nope, rejected again, continue to sell off. The 50 and 200 obviously really important. You can see the rest of the rejections right there as well. So it doesn't mean anything that, oh my God, we rejected once. We're going down 10 more percent. No. It just may take a minute to get back above, or we do sell off. So that's what we're watching out for, right? So just pay attention to the 50 moving average every day. See if we break out of this. Again, we're at the top of that channel. So depending on how earnings and all this econ data and what the Fed says on Wednesday and all this good stuff, that's going to kind of basically tell us which direction we're going, that's for sure. And when you look over at futures, we hadn't even hit the 50 yet. We're coming up in this 4-hour fair value gap. obviously, which is going to be, a good level of resistance. You can see that's what happened today. All right, so we'll see what happens, how this reacts in this area at the top of this channel with a 50 moving average. You see IWM, another big day today. It gapped up. It got above its 100 moving average. The 50 is right above it now. It's got a boatload of resistance above it. But again, it eclipsed the 200 level. That was really important, all right? Big round number there, closed above that level today as well. Again, when you look at this one, what is it doing? Very simply, it is setting, there's a low. It is setting a higher high, higher low, higher high, right? And so the levels to watch are going to be 202.82 to break above, right? That would be for another higher high. And then on bottom end around 191.75. That's what you're going to be looking for. Now, one thing that might not help the markets is if money keeps flowing into Chinese stocks. You saw a record $3 billion of inflows by global funds. We've been talking about this. As you can see, that nice big spike right there. And you've seen these levels back in what? It's been a while, right? 2021, 2020, 2019. So it's been a minute since we've seen this high level. But like we talked about, the HSI has been breaking out. When you go over and you sit there and you look at BABA, a lot of them are breaking these long-term trend lines in 3 years in these downtrends, right? And so this one, which a lot of people keep dollar cost averaging in, is still in stage 1, by the way. I mean, these charts are still damaged beyond belief. And it's above 2 of its moving averages, the 50 and the 100, but the 200 is right up there above. And so really, again, I always say this, until you get out of the stage 1 and break into stage 2, it can be all for nothing because we've seen these flows in, right? I mean, this is K-Web, their internet ETF, and you can see, I mean, obviously that's a big move up so far in a very short amount of time. But, we've seen this multiple times, but now these are finally breaking these longer term trend lines. So you could start to see a stage 2 start to form. Just pay attention to that if you're in these kind of stocks. Now, Disney, watch this one right here because obviously it's sitting there. It's been trading in this channel since November. It is at the bottom of the channel. It's been getting rejected off that 50 moving average right there. As you can see, that has been heavy resistance for it, was support. And so look for this one, especially if it drops out of this channel. Right around that 100 moving average, around 104. But that's where this could drop to if that happens. So just watch the 104 level for sure. There's also a gap below it, which is actually below the 104 level. So it could drop farther. But again, this is the area you expect to bounce, but it has to get above that 50-day moving average for sure. And then Celsius, this one right here, obviously has been getting crushed. It was down like 32%. Got to bounce off the 100 moving average right there. That level coinciding with the 100 moving average, coinciding with a fair value gap right there, a weekly fair value gap that is. End up getting a very nice bounce. And you can see it's going to have resistance coming up above with that trend line, which was support. Now will be resistance if this bounce continues. So right under $80 will definitely be resistance. And by the way, this one right here, this was the stock I mentioned probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago, how it had this crazy run, but I wouldn't tell you the name of it because I don't want people chasing. And this is going to report next week, by the way. And that's exactly why it was at like 97 maybe when I had talked about it, and then just absolutely imploded. I did not want people chasing because it's not a pump and dump channel, thank you very much. And that's why, because people would have absolutely chased and got wrecked. So just want to put that on there for the record. Now, Tuesday, tomorrow, I'm going to have PayPal reporting, Eli Lilly, 3M, McDonald's, Coca-Cola pre-market, then the big boys, Amazon, AMD, Supermicro, Riot, Starbucks, Pinterest, Caesars, Lemonade is going to be a whole another one right there. And you will get red folder news tomorrow, which will affect the markets. Employment cost index at 830. Chicago PMI is not red folder news, but it is 945, so you'll probably get a reaction. And then 10 a.m. CB consumer confidence. And you might have noticed the market was just basically doing nothing today in this little range. That's because you had no red folder news. Those days are brutal and stuff. So you just kind of sit back and wait or whatever and be careful. But, we'll have plenty of red folder news from here on out this week and plenty of earnings for the market to react off of and get all volatile. And so far, as I told the members in the morning news brief, it's like the majority of stocks are beating, okay, on their earnings, okay? And so we just still don't have an earnings apocalypse and everything like that going on. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of these stocks, they're still setting new 52-week highs, and the market's still holding up, right? And as of now, it's holding up. And so just keep that in mind as we're going to be closing out this month of April, heading into a new month of May this week, all right? And I think really what's the market want to really wait on? FOMC on Wednesday, okay? Now, the market may have reacted today around 3 to some news that the Treasury had put out. And it was saying basically, they'll put the initial official announcement out, it was Wednesday, I'm not mistaken. but basically just putting a summary of like what they expect to happen as far as issuing new debt, all this good stuff. And there was a Treasury balance report. And so if you saw Saturday's video, that Treasury balance report, they said by end of June, they'll still have 745 billion, around 900 billion end of September. And so if that balance is still sitting there, right, that means they're not draining it like a lot of people are expecting them to do. And so it could be what the market reacted off of. I don't know. Put in the comments what you think as well. Some report even came out and said, well, tax receipts are light. They're not bringing in as much as they thought they would. That's a whole other thing. So could be the case. But that was definitely a reaction down after 3 o'clock. It's the only thing that was happening. So it had to be that. And so, and then, tomorrow we'll see what happens anyway. So hope you guys have out of it, guys. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Really appreciate all you guys who watch every day. Feel free to sign up for the membership. Listen to McDonald's Combo and get your morning news brief and be in the Discord with some good chat. So anyway, hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.